Yo, the crowd is back, the lights are dim, front rows buzzing, it's about to begin.
Welcome everyone to another episode of AdTech Ad Talk, where me and my host Adam, how you doing, Adam?
Feeling good. I got my screen screwed up though, so give me a second to get this right.
Take your
Late
time. I know you
today.
just had your holiday party. We are here for everyone to know more about the Pinterest deal, and more importantly, Adam has lots of opinions about AI that we're going to spend time unwrapping today, including like the meaning of life. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsor for this segment of AdTech Ad Talk, Pontiac Intelligence, also known as Pontiac DSP, the transparent, flexible, and low-cost DSP. That's right. Hey, it's important in 2025. I could go on DSPs in 2025 all day. I guess 2026 is what matters now.
I learned from a Gen Z friend that what I have today is called hangxiety. Have you heard of hangxiety?
I've not heard of hangxiety. What's hangxiety?
Let's ask the ladies. They're young. What's hangxiety?
It's when you drink the night before and you wake up in the morning and you think everyone hates you and that you did something wrong and it just stirs up and you're just crippled by it pretty much. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's hangover and anxiety.
You know, that makes sense. I've been on Earth long enough to know that a couple of days after drinking, I'm gonna like start to feel sad about things, and and I just remember myself, oh wait, you drank, that's why you're sad. This is chemical.
Yeah. I ghosted the company party. What happened to me at the company party? I'm talking, having a good time, drinking wine, and I got up to go to the bathroom, and like on the way to the bathroom, I was like, oh, my limit is like way past. I just blew past my limit. I could barely walk. So I just walked out of the restaurant, got a cab, went home without my jacket. It's like texting my co-founder so you can grab my jacket when you leave. That's how I went. And then the next day, my employees were like, is that something I said? Yeah, it happens.
I mean, it definitely happens. We have a name for that too, right? Is it offensive to say Irish? Can we say that anymore? Yeah, Irish exits. Is that allowed now, or has that been destroyed?
I think I used the line that the Reagan administration used in regard to the Iran-Contra affair, which is mistakes were made.
They were.
It's used as an example of the passive voice. We're not saying who made mistakes or what. Right. They were just made.
We're not necessarily responsible for them. Okay.
they were just made. Yeah.
But that's great, man. Where was your holiday party?
It was Williamsburg. I don't know. It's called Hoxton or something. Hoxton. Don't ask me about it. Yeah, it's a good one. It was at a big restaurant in Williamsburg. We had a private room. It's a great bar. We had great wine. It was good.
Chalice throws great parties. Just in my experience. If anyone listening ever gets a chance to go to a Chalice party, I would recommend going. It's worth doing.
Yeah.
Once in your life.
Yeah. And thanks. It helps to work here.
Yeah. But what should we open with? Should we open with news today?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do some news.
Never done that before, and we could call this our year-end wrap-up.
Yeah.
We are doing the next one. Right, not the 26th. Ding, 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 ding. All right, so these guys are making some standards together.
What does this mean, Adam?
Desktop agent standards. I don't know. But you know what? Google's not going to play by this. You know why? You know how I know? Because I've been working in ad tech for 20 years.
They don't like standards.
This is the thesis I want to talk about today and get your take on it, Gareth, is that everything that's going to happen in AI is going to be a replay of what we just went through in ad tech. There's going to be an open standards version, and there's going to be a stack version. And there's no mystery which side Google's going to be on. And now, and like the starting gun in this competition has gone off now that Gemini 3 beat OpenAI at the whatever AI Olympics, that thing that they have where they have the leaderboard and see who scores better on certain tasks. So Google's vision is sort of in the lead. And you know Google's going to be a stack vision. Your Google agent is not going to go to Microsoft or Apple or Facebook tech. Your Google agent is going to sit in Google Cloud and it's going to use Google Maps and Google Sheets and right your Google Home Nest thing to turn on your Google vibrator, whatever. It's all going to be Google.
My Google vibrator.
You,
But
you're gonna have to buy into the entire thing. Like that's how they're gonna do it. And they'll pay lip service to standards. But the kind of implementation that many of us have at work, where you have your Anthropic Claude AI agent going into other software, is not going to be in the Google world. ChatGPT, I think, will. They already sort of pretty much are. And right, people are deriding them as the Netscape of AI, that they're going to get wiped out
hmm.
as a result. So we'll see. But I think we've seen this play out before. So I think it's good news. I think it's a second chance for the open framework standards, the collaborative workflow to win against the stack.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like it comes down to dominance. And I had someone I pinged something at Foo earlier this week, where I was talking about browsers,
He
right?
blocked
Because
me. Tell me what he said because he's blocked me.
oh no, he was just pinging about, like Anthropic and all these guys building their own browsers and how that effort is going to fail. But I don't think people realize why it's going to fail and why those things. He was saying that like, oh, people don't want a chat-based browser interface. And I don't think that's it. I think that most people don't know the dirty history of the browser wars, where for Google to get Chrome distributed everywhere. Like people didn't use Chrome because it was the best. That's not what happened. Google viciously, wherever their search became the default, would prompt people to use the Chrome browser, and that was how they did it. And they would co-install and they would co-reg, and they would use their heft in search to get people to use their browser. That was how that worked. It wasn't like people came to this software and were like, this is better software, so I'm going to use it. And I think that's kind of a refrain in browsers in general, because Internet Explorer's dominance didn't come from Internet Explorer being a great browser. It came from everyone using Windows. And like nobody uses Safari because they, oh, I really want to use Safari. They use Safari because they're on iOS or because they're using Apple. And so I think for lots of these things, where we think of these companies as having software in different worlds, it's because actually they're stacks that have one product that's sticky enough that they can shove in their other products. And that's really hard to disrupt, right? Because we like kind of let this vertical integration of software happen. And maybe we shouldn't. Like maybe this is vertical integration. Maybe this
Do you
lawsuit that
think?
Google
Do you
just
think
won they should have lost.
what they really should? Yeah, they should not have been able to buy their way into every Apple device, right? Of
No,
course, they
it's
lost that
insane.
case. They lost that
And
case, and the judge decided not to block that conduct. So
I
now,
know. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe we're doing a big oopsie here, and we're like allowing this vertical integration to occur. That's going to end up with a sort of monopolistic behavior that the ad tech case won with, right? The ad tech case won because we were able to prove, oh, they're coupling. They're doing this coupling here. People don't use GAM because it's the best product. They use GAM because they also have to use this.
yeah,
And in order to get this, you have to use GAM. And it's just going to be a really easy thing for Google to do, because if their AI also happens to be like pretty good, right? Where like you're like saying like the switching between Gemini and ChatGPT is just not that big of a cost, but Gemini is natively integrated with all the other things you do, it's going to win, right? Like too big of a leg up. Where I
yeah.
don't know. This is
But
this is a scary topic, right? Because this is just one more thing for these companies to add to their hopper, and I'm scared for the challengers, like the open ecosystem stuff. It's got to have a
talk
lot
about
of
the
momentum.
enterprise market. Yeah, but talk about the enterprise market. It's much different. Most corporations are not using the Google Work Suite, not Gmail, not Google
Mm,
Sheets. It's
yeah.
certainly not Google Meet. It's pretty rare. Microsoft has the edge there, and Anthropic is making a really good play. And ChatGPT 5 Enterprise is a great product. It's very cost efficient, $60 for 150 seats, and you can make really cool custom GPTs. So a lot more excitement and competition there. And what I love to point out is Microsoft hasn't really made their move. Like they have their own stuff. They have OpenAI.
Yeah, they're a big backer of
Copilot.
OpenAI, right? Yeah.
They're a huge investor in OpenAI, but it's not their only option. They have a lot of bases covered, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of moves they make.
I'd love to go to the tape because isn't Slack in wild decline because of Teams? Hasn't Teams really successfully executed
an enterprise market? Yeah,
in enterprise market? Yeah, like Teams has taken over the enterprise market. It's actually remarkably.
And that's happened over and over. Software pops up, people love to use it. Then your boss tells you not to use it, and then one day Microsoft releases an enterprise version of that software, and your boss says, "Okay, use this." This has been life in corporate America for like 30 years, and it's going to be to some extent, at least, it will be like that in AI. But I would say Microsoft has not quite made their move yet. In that, Outlook is still as annoying to use as it was in the 90s.
Hey, I used to love Outlook, man. Don't trash my Outlook. I used to love Outlook. Schedule a meeting from an email, something Gmail still doesn't have. Even though I just started using Superhuman, and everyone should use Superhuman if you're not already. I'm so addicted to it.
Not a superhuman. Let's go to the next story. We keep talking about AI. Such a big story this year. Person of the year, right? Yes. The architects of AI. Are these guys the architects of AI?
This is just lame. Like this story came up and I was like, what's happened to time? Like where has time gone?
Time is desperate for attention. But this is the AI story is competition now. Like OpenAI has openly given up on general intelligence, right? OpenAI is going to be a product company now. They've hired Johnny Ive, right, to make a device, and they're going to make their play in the consumer market to do fancy things for consumers, and in the enterprise market, they already have custom GPTs, and I'm sure they'll have a bunch of other products as well. Google's stack strategy is clear by now. And like a lot of this, a lot of it's being laid out, right? It's the consumer and enterprise markets will have separate competition. There's really only 4 players, right, who are going to end up splitting the market in different amounts. Maybe there'll be some new entries, but it's been 2 years since OpenAI came out, and there hasn't been a tech market like this before, right? That started with like 1 billion customers. It's like, the computer was out for like 10 years before it was a big thing. It was hobbyist tech. AI just comes out and immediately it's a big thing with billions in revenue and trillions invested. Like there's never been like an attempt to like pull the future forward as much as the AI and cloud combination and the applications that it's going to enable. So these 4 Godzillas are going to fight it out. Maybe we'll see a 5th. Oh yeah, maybe we'll see a Gamera in the mix. If I could go stay with the Godzilla metaphor for a bit, but the only thing left is what are the applications? Like what are the applications and devices, and what are they going to do, and right, and how are they going to change our lives? And I think on the consumer side, that's not such a fascinating question. Like they're going to do things that are today done with travel agents and search engines and other kinds of planners and assistants, right? We're all going to have AI assistants, and they'll be good. They'll be better than human assistants within a few years.
And I'll do a shameless plug during this one. So at Gamera, when a publisher installs us, we generate 4 or 5 different data sets, right? So we are our own custom data pipeline, event-based analytics system that does all sorts of different things. We'd have a Google Analytics version. We have a Core Web Vitals version. We have a user value version. We have a inventory performance version. We have all of these things. These are live events, billions and billions and billions of live events flowing in real time. And we ended up with a Frankenstein UI. Where we are like, oh, we want to have this report for users to do this, and we want to have this report for users to do this. And I would go through and I would demo it for publishers. And by the time of the end of the demo, I was like, they have no fucking clue what this system does. Like, they just have no idea. Also, like, no one knows how they're going to use this. Like they're going to leave this demo like, wow, that's a lot of data and I have no idea what to do with it. And we kind of came to the realization that this is the perfect application of an LLM, of AI that can do inference, and they are bad at inference for now. But you can customize it for certain data sets. You can customize it for your use case. You can get rid of a lot of the hallucinations. You can do those things. You just take some shoehorning, and we realized that what we're gonna do is we're gonna seed this with questions that tell people what they can do with it, and then it'll just give them the answers. And this works so much better, right? It's
Yeah.
taken like reporting UIs and dashboards and it's just nuked them, where it's like, don't do that anymore. Ask the system the question that you want the answer to, and they can, in plain speech, what you're wondering about, and it will just tell you, and it would also give you the report that it ran to come to that conclusion. I think this is the future. I think a lot of dashboards are going away. A lot of reporting.
It's not the
UIs are going
future.
away.
It's the present, right? The enterprise
The
market
present.
is going to be, we also know what's going to happen in the enterprise market, but not exactly what's going to happen because there's all these secrets locked up in data in the enterprise market, right? There's all these corporations with tons of documentation and tons of data, and their partners have more documentation and more data flowing between them. And all the secrets are going to get wrung out of these in a hurry, right? Over the next couple of years, all those secrets are going to come out and enormous efficiency will be unlocked about all kinds of company decisions. This is happening in my company, happening at yours, and we're struggling to deliver it for our customers. And I think the question, the burning question is who gets the value out of that, right? Like let's say for every dollar of value, we add 40 cents or 50 cents. Like in the past, you could say, well, the tech providers will get that, but the way it's being set up is like your model provider isn't going to get a big chunk of 40 of your 40 cents of value, right?
Yeah.
Your customer could easily get a bigger chunk. And if you're competing with another Gamma and I'm competing with another Chalice, it's very hard to take the 35 out of that 40 cents that isn't going to the model because we're going to be in a price war. And like these there aren't really big moats, right? Anyone could license ChatGPT, apply it to an enormous publisher or advertiser data set, and wring answers from it, right? There's a lot of stuff that's hard. No one can create a Chalice or a Gamma overnight, but the core, it's all doable. Everything can be rebuilt, which means we're going to have a lot of price pressure on us. So an idea that's been influencing me a lot, and it comes from an article called "AI Won't Make You Rich" by a guy named Jerry Newman. Shout out to Brian O'Kelly for calling my attention to this article, and to Jerry Newman himself, who I learned was an early trade desk investor. Hopefully, maybe I'll get a chance to meet him. But he wrote that the value is going to accrue to the end users, right? It's that most likely it'll be the companies that are actually using AI, especially the ones that adopt early, who will see the bulk of this extra 40 or 50% of value. And that's a cool, and that's a different vision, right? It's a little more like computers themselves. A lot of companies got rich off computers because it's starting at the end where everybody knows the value. It's almost as if just adapting the technology gets you early access to that value, but then it gets, in the best case scenario, it gets soaked up by competition. And I think, the winners hopefully is the entire economy. Everyone's more efficient and more competitive. But there's no clear, like, he's writing from the point of view of investor, and his point is there's really no one to bet on right now that's likely to make you rich from your investment.
I mean, it's an interesting question because I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And I would say my biggest limitation right now is the fact that I think of this as there are three things that occur. There is the harvesting and the storage of unique data and signal. There is the interpretation and the extraction of value from that data and signal. And then there is the action.
Yeah.
If I'm interpreting what you're saying, it's that the middle layer is going to commoditize and be super competitive. But I would say the ends are where you can make money. And one end is Snowflake, right? I'm like bet on Snowflake, right? Like everyone's going to buy Snowflake because they have to put their data somewhere. And like if the data goes into Snowflake, Snowflake's going to make a lot of money. But at the other end is people are lazy. Like, I think that providing them with the insights is not enough, which I think is actually where like custom models come into play.
Yeah.
Because a custom model it does things. So, and the doing is like as important as the interpretation, right? And as the analysis.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Yeah.
think that that would be my like response to him is like the inference is not there. And you know who else does? Pontiac
Pontiac.
Intelligence.
The low
They do.
cost, transparent, flexible DSP alternative.
That's right. They do as well. But yeah, I really feel like this is going to be a good place for businesses who start doing, and that is also where AdCP does come in. Is AdCP, for all of its faults, it does say it wants to do, right? It wants
Yeah.
to
So
execute things.
right. Yeah. All right. So application layer. Let's talk about the application layer where we're both going to live. Snowflake will have an application marketplace. Databricks has just announced they're starting an application marketplace. There'll probably be application marketplaces in AWS and Azure. I mean, they exist now, but so far they're all Amazon and Microsoft products. And I think there'll probably be third-party products in there as well. And I think LiveRamp is extremely well positioned that they've already have a data marketplace and the beginnings of an application marketplace, and their ID is sort of a lingua franca across a lot of companies. So this idea of an application and being available in multiple marketplaces is core to Chalice's strategy. We're saying optimization is a modular application that can live where your data lives and be used where your data is used. But from an investor perspective, um, maybe we're worth a billion or 10 billion, right? That's not the kind of bet they're looking for. So that's the big caveat is like me and you and our employees can get very rich without registering at the level of people who are trying to invest in the next Meta or even Trade Desk. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's money to be made, but it's in the billions, not the trillions or even the hundreds of billions.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting, especially God LLM costs. By the way, did we have a question? I didn't see one pop up. I
Yeah,
saw a number
it's
though.
relevant to what we're talking about.
Oh,
This is
the
from,
most ROI.
Yeah. And
you guys
as
got it?
Garrett was talking, like I realized it's service. It's service, right? If you have like McKinsey can't pivot, but if you wanted to start a McKinsey powered by AI, you can make as much money as McKinsey, right?
Yeah,
With a small team, right? So
much
that's the
smaller.
most much smaller. So that's the ROI opportunity. The same is true of ad agencies and publisher monetization companies. Is there's a huge opportunity in service right now to be a really light, smart, elite service team on top of, commodity tech.
Yeah, I completely agree. And oh, who was I having this chat with? I was out to drinks with someone. So for people who don't know, I ran a company called RTK. That was one of the earliest pre-bid management companies. So pre-bid is like the thing that handles the auction on publisher pages. And this is a hard business. And the reason it's hard is because people think about pre-bid management companies as tech businesses, but they're not. And the reason they're not is when you are managing the auction tech on a publisher's website, anything that goes wrong, if somebody farts in the wrong direction, you are the one who gets called. Because they're like, your tech is doing something on my website. It's making it not work. It's making me make less money. You've broken something, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Also, I want to work with this vendor. I want to do this. I want to implement this. Can you
Yeah.
do
And
that?
for
Can we
those
compatible?
unfamiliar, what Gareth is describing is called the service industry.
That is a services business.
Professional services.
Really,
Getting yelled
really
at by
is.
their customers.
And I don't think people realize that when they start to go into the header bidding management business, where it's like if you want to do a really good job, you have to figure out a services business that has often like literally a knife fight of fees, where they're pushing fees down so far. And I definitely think that we do on page analysis right now that sits aside like the header bidding management companies, but this should make the service quality so much better because now you don't need an expert to go onto the page and watch things and say, oh, this is going wrong. You have something that can do the interpretation for you. Whereas historically that had to scale with headcount. right? That was the only way you did this. Is you have people who have a book of publishers that they're looking at, 20, 30, 40 publishers, and they keep an eye on their numbers. They respond to their emails in the middle of the night, and AI should help with this. It should help with services businesses. Should make them more efficient.
Enormously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other side of this is SaaS valuations, right? I know we'll talk about this later in the episode, but I would be very suspicious as an investor or acquirer around SaaS valuations, because the dream, if you're not a founder, then you might not know about the SaaS playbook. But as a founder, you're always getting smacked on the head by this SaaS playbook, which rule one is don't do service, right?
Yeah.
You create a self-service thing so that your millionth customer requires no more expense than your 10th customer, right? And this all comes out of Microsoft. Like Microsoft was the first to demonstrate that if you can do this, then you make $1 zillion. And Slack is probably the most recent example of a multi-billion-dollar exit of a simple piece of SaaS that makes all its money from SaaS licenses. There's a million things in the playbook, but the big ones are don't do service and sell it on a subscription basis,
Yeah.
right? By seat, unlimited usage. And I lean heavily toward the view that this does not fit AI at all. That AI always has a service component. You cannot pay for unlimited usage for a seat unless the customer is paying for their own compute, right? And like I said, the value so far is accruing to service providers, which is not true of SaaS.
Yeah. Oh, it's really interesting. The other thing that would scare me about SaaS is so much SaaS is replaceable, where at the end of the day, the really big valuations for SaaS companies don't generally come from their own subscriptions. They come from demand aggregation, where they're like, hey, we can sell other products to all of our users who are using our SaaS seamlessly, and
Right.
like
That's how
incorporate them and do
Salesforce
this stuff.
pays $30 billion for Slack or whatever they paid.
Exactly. We can integrate other things, add them on, and it's accretive value because we have the audience. We've aggregated the demand already. The supply, what software we sell to them, actually doesn't matter so much anymore. But I think that AI just takes that to the next level, where people are going to be building software so much faster and so much more cheaply. Build versus buy is going to get weird for SaaS.
It's very upsetting for investors, and you could see them reacting different ways if you follow investors on Twitter as I do. But their world is ending. Like the SaaS playbook was a world. It added a lot of predictability to their investments. Like they could see in advance who was going to be a successful SaaS company, or even make it happen through their investment and their market power. And it's running out, and now they have to think of something else.
Well, it's getting weird. There's a really funny Joe Lonsdale video I was watching this morning where he kept saying how all these founders were coming to them with shitty ideas and they kept saying no. And then the founders kept pivoting because they were smart and now they're multi-billion-dollar companies. And he is like, well, we kind of have to do away with our thesis and just kind of bet on smart people at this point because like they're going to figure it out and shit's changing too fast for us to go, well, that's a shitty idea. We're not investing in that. And just it wiggles around on you.
Who's Lonsdale's Founders Fund?
8VC.
Yeah, who is he? What's he famous for?
Peter Thiel adjacent. He's in the PayPal mafia, so he was a PayPal guy.
Yeah, he just wrote a really stupid tweet. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's go to the next story. We got political later.
Oh man,
here we go.
We could talk about this one all day. There are so many opinions coming out on this nonstop, primarily from people who Adam has blocked or have blocked Adam.
Yeah. So I don't know about these opinions. Can you expose me to these opinions I'm blocked from seeing?
Well, I've read 3 or 4 of them, and there's just not that much in them. They all come down to like, well, Pinterest is acquiring a CTV startup to expand their attribution play, right? So basically, the idea is that Pinterest already uses probabilistic IP address-based attribution, just as Meta does and everyone else does already, and they think that if they have that playbook down already, they add CTV into the mix, and now they can take more credit because they have more ways to get ads at the same IP addresses.
Whoa. I thought you were going to say, it's very valuable for a company to have tags down on e-commerce pages. If you have tags down on the e-commerce page and you're tracking the sales on that page, you could just build a business around that data, right? Google and Meta have their tags down on everyone, but Google proved it first because in order to optimize search, you have to have a tag down on your conversion page. Everyone put that down, and Google really built an empire on the conversion data coming from those tags. So at first, I thought you were saying was that what Pinterest wanted from TV Scientific was the tags that they had placed. But now it sounds like what you're saying is Pinterest already has a lot of tags. There's a lot of people with a Pinterest tag down
do.
already.
They don't need
don't
need
need
the
the
real
tag.
estate.
All
They
right.
need more ways to IP address stuff. That's what it is. I'm pretty sure. Now, do you have to buy a company to do better IP address stuffing? I'm not sure.
So
Like
with stuffing, you say we have to claim that we served an impression before the sale came.
exactly.
Yeah.
The most recent impression, ideally.
You know, actually, I'm going to go off on a tangent because you planted a seed in me that has grown in my head during my falling asleep time and my shower time,
Oh, I'm sorry.
which is that these walled gardens who always claim attribution credit serves tons of impressions don't necessarily have to serve the impression. Or at least they don't have to serve the impression before the conversion, right? Like it's like Google's been caught cheating and they did things that people were like, holy shit, like that's illegal. They shouldn't have done that. And but you've put in
Oh,
my head, like, what if they're cheating on when they claim they showed an impression that preceded a conversion? Because they're tracking all the conversions anyway. And
they
if they
are.
take credit saying we served an impression before this one, no one can check it because there's no logs. And they certainly could have served an impression to anyone because everybody watches YouTube and scrolls Instagram.
It's
So
unpoliceable, especially well,
so
and the
weird.
Google one. This is my old Google conspiracy theory. Google owns measurement and tracking and reporting across the board.
Yeah.
So they could, if they really wanted to cook the books, they could invent the impressions at every level of the transaction. They could tell the publisher an ad impression occurred that didn't occur.
That's right.
They could
They could do the
they could
audit
log it in
credit
the
too.
DSP and they could log it in Google Analytics. They could log it everywhere, even if it never happened. And I had this realization the other day where if Google really wanted to, and this would never happen because there would be a whistleblower inside of Google. Like this is one that the conspiracy theory simply requires too many people to be complicit for them to be able to keep a lid on it. But if they really wanted to, they could just juice all the numbers at once, right? Like, hey, we want to make more revenue this quarter. We're going to report more impressions in GAM. We're going to report more page views in Google Analytics. We're going to report more delivered impressions in DV360. We're just going to move all of them together. And
More conversions
do
too,
that.
right? They could just make
More conversions. They could fabricate every single thing at once because they are the end-to-end measurement system for so many people. Now, I don't think this would ever happen because, someone would go, hey, wait, we can't actually do this. Like
could
this
do it
is
a little.
wrong.
But they have a feature called modeled conversions that I don't even know if you could opt out of. Where modeled conversions is they literally make up conversions. It's because they lost signal in Apple. They introduced modeled conversions, which is Google saying we showed impressions on a bunch of iPhones that we
Yeah.
didn't track. So we've modeled how many of those there were, and we're taking credit for them. So they already are doing this.
I mean, probabilistic conversion tracking, right, is what most people do not think of it as probabilistic, but it is probabilistic. And that means that this number that you see is kind of a made up number. It's not a real number of conversions that occurred. And this started because of Apple. I blame Apple for this. Even post-click conversions in Meta are probabilistic, which is crazy. Because it should be very easy to deterministically say this user clicked this ad, then went to the landing page and bought something.
Yeah.
But because of Apple, they introduced global probabilistic conversion tracking where in their backend, they do some weird magic. They don't actually pass something through and say this click from this user resulted in this landing page visit. They don't actually do it that way. They say, oh well, the click ID was this,
came
the
from
user
somewhere.
attributes were this. They fingerprint it all left, right, and center, and they say, okay, now we think that this was a post-click conversion.
Yeah,
And
same
that
thing.
just opens the door. And
Apple
that's why,
really opened the door.
yeah, and that's why Pinterest acquiring a CTV startup that does a bunch of probabilistic IP address-based
Oh
attribution
my God. I
makes
don't know.
some sense.
Oh my God.
Like,
Look,
hey, let's track more conversions.
hey, I've met these people. They are stand-up people. They're in the Imperium Ventures family. I'm sure they built something very valuable, and it's not just attribution gaming. I don't know what's behind this deal. I don't
Oh,
understand.
gaming. That's a harsh word. It's probabilistic IP address based attribution. Somebody from that IP address did probably buy something. Was your ad responsible for it? I don't know. Did they actually see your ad? Maybe. But we think so. And that's better than nothing. That is a signal. And to TV Scientific's credit, they have a lot of IOs. That is one of the hardest businesses on earth. I mean, Adam, you worked at an agency.
It's hard to get
Servicing
IOs.
IOs is hard. Servicing IOs is not easy. Closing IOs, delivering them, providing the reporting. Back to services,
they had
services
100,
business.
160 employees. They're the same age as Chalice, and they're 160 employees. We have 45.
IOs, baby. IO based business.
Well, they also raised like 60 million, and we raised like 2.
But IO scales with headcount, right? That's why you have to do that. Is you want to close more IOs, you need more IO salespeople, you need more traffickers, you need more people who are running the campaigns, and that's the flywheel. It's not an easy business. People talk about these
I'm glad
IO
you say. I thought you were jealous
hard.
that you didn't think of TV Scientific when you were talking about it.
No, I gotta give them credit. And it's not my world. I have no experience building managed service businesses. They scare me. I know how difficult they are. They're treadmills too. Like you have to keep the IOs coming, right? You have to get renewals and you have to keep talking to them and they churn and that's a thing. I give credit.
I did a little research on Pinterest ad business. I was surprised. It's like 4 billion. They just had $1 billion quarter.
Yeah,
huge ad business. I never seen Pinterest business on a media plan in my life.
I mean, you wanted a real throwback.
Beauty. I know there's a lot of beauty brands, but
you know whose first business model was Pinterest ads?
ChatGPT.
Triple Lift.
Triple Lift started with Pinterest ads.
They did.
Native format.
Yep, they pivoted away from doing Pinterest stuff when they realized that Pinterest was not going to be the be-all end-all social platform that for shopping that people thought it was going to be, and they started Triple Lift, and then they became the native company they became.
AppNexus ad server in those days?
No, they were self-contained. This was a whole separate business where they did some image recognition stuff, I think. Yeah. So they did some interesting analysis of the images, and that was Triple Lift's thing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, then they pivoted to native and they became a native company. But the original one, I would love to we should get Ari or Eric Berry. That would be really fun. Or Sean.
Yeah, I'd love to see Ari again. I haven't seen him since I was friends with him. He did an Irish exit after his after he sold the company. Never seen again.
I don't. He probably wants nothing to do with ad tech ever again.
Yeah, a lot of us say that, but how many have done it?
Yeah, that's true. Most people come crawling back.
Ari Levine's a legend. I would love to have him on the show. Someone tell him, Ari, Adam misses you. You should come on the show. He was also the first great ad tech user of LinkedIn. He used to start debates.
I remember those threads.
Yeah, those threads. He would start debates. But he's a legend to me because when I was the head of programmatic, people always wanted to meet with me and pitch me, and I liked meeting startups and talking to them, but I didn't really like taking meetings. So I used to try to get them to pitch me over email, or even worse, instant message on AOL or God forbid LinkedIn. And Ari was totally game for that. Did that successfully, pitched me in writing. What a killer salesman!
Let's get Ari on. Ari was an account manager when I was doing sales at AppNexus.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah, man, he's one of the first people I ever met in the industry. That'd be fun. But yes, so I think this is an interesting deal. Now, the other reflection I want for this that I've been all on social media about that's really important is this is a big tech company buying an ad tech company.
Yes.
I am of the opinion that the LiveRail deal had this horrible chilling effect on anyone buying ad tech companies, because
that was like, somebody 25 years old decided to buy.
Who was behind that deal? Was it really Zuck? Who was behind it? Because this was so for those of you who weren't around, there was an era of vast arbitrage. Well, right now we live in the second era of vast arbitrage. People vast arbitrage with CTV right now. And if you want me to explain what that is, I will. But the first era of vast arbitrage was just regular like video. So like videos on websites traded at numbers that were literally impossible. Like we know there's not that much actual in-stream video out there. If you were to look at these video platforms, I guess this was probably 2015, you would think that every single website on the internet was showing in-stream YouTube style videos to their users. It was billions and trillions of requests for in-stream video.
It was easy to believe. Videology would come around, we got
oh god, that name.
100 million video watchers.
Oh.
Nobody even had the bandwidth to watch video online in 2015. The
It was
numbers
wild, man.
were blatantly impossible, but we didn't
LiveRail. Yeah. I mean, well, people didn't realize what was going on, all the different fraud tactics that existed back then. This is before VPay and before a lot of the verification was good, and it was the whole thing was gross. But LiveRail convinced Facebook to buy them. So LiveRail was the go-to video arbitrage ad server, where all of the people who were buying and selling video ads that they had no idea if they were real or not would buy and sell them from each other on LiveRail, and LiveRail would make a fee for basically every transaction, and that was their business. This was also AppNexus's business in 2010.
Yeah.
And it's a very profitable ad serving business to be in the middle of network arbitrageurs doing, this fraud's not the word, doing opaque inventory flipping from place to place.
Well, I think the point is, if you buy this thing and then try to add it to your business and your business is Facebook, it did not look good.
No, well, I don't know how it got through due diligence. There was clearly no adult in the room, and my tweet alluded to this. People in big tech had this real inability to understand the guts of what actually is going on in ad tech, so they bought LiveRail, and then 2 years later they were like, "Shit, we have to just scuttle this. Like, there's nothing for us to do with this. There's nothing here." And
they bought Atlas too.
They bought Atlas. That's right. Like this, there's just not a good history of big tech companies acquiring ad tech.
This is a bit of a conspiracy theory that deal turned off all Silicon Valley big tech to New York ad tech.
That's my conspiracy theory. They saw this happen. They wrote it off. It was a $300 million deal. It was a big deal, and they were like, "These ad tech companies are kind of sketchy. Let's not buy any of these anymore. We're just gonna build it and build it badly." That's our plan now. We don't need to buy these ad people. These ad people don't know what they're doing. But I'm hoping that that's overturned now. Because I actually do think, I think Jason's a smart guy. I think TV Scientific has a lot of smart people at it. And I think that this one has a higher likelihood of success than anything else. My only fear is that the CTV market is hot garbage and not transparent. And my only fear is that they run on a CTV inventory that's not CTV inventory and get super skeeved out because they're not ready for that to exist, where they it turns out they're serving TNO.
Those are all real. I watch Pluto. I watch Tubi. I watch those are all real. I watch those. Don't you?
Oh god.
You want?
I mean, Pluto is
I watch LG TV, Samsung TV.
Well, the really bad ones are the fast ones that run in the background that nobody's looking at. And
no, I watch those too.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly playing on my TV.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that this is a world now where this could actually work. This could be successful. And if Pinterest successfully starts buying on CTV, that could build a new bridge for big tech companies to want to buy an ad tech again. Like, one of my pipe dreams for my company is that I can woo a big tech company to come buy on the open web again.
Me too. And I think of ones in Bellevue, Washington, instead of San Francisco, California.
I'll take any of them, man. I'll take any of them. I'm not discerning.
Okay.
Yeah.
A San Francisco company. Yeah, I guess it happened, right? A San Francisco company bought a New York ad tech company.
It did.
You're right.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Questions? Let's do Post-Mortem.
Let's do Post-Mortem.
Wait, were there any other noteworthy Twitter takes on the TV Scientific deal from people who blocked me? Because I didn't see anything.
No, I mean, Erez had a long post about it being like a quality thing. Surprise.
Okay.
There's nothing too crazy.
Please join me in inviting President Barack Obama and Kehinde Wiley to unveil the portrait.
It's time for Post-Mortem, a review of the most notable ad tech social media posts of the past week. Gareth, start off this week with a post from Anonymous, but it is Dan Taylor of Google, a guy that Google trot out for damage control. I don't want to be mean to Dan Taylor, but his credibility is damaged. I'll just say that. Okay, does that mean?
No, it's not mean.
Okay.
No.
Credibility
He's a
is
patsy.
somewhat.
The poor guy's a patsy.
All right, you be the mean one. So he's the one they tried out for damage control, and he says that the story that Gemini is going to have ads based on uninformed anonymous sources who are making inaccurate claims. There are no ads in the Gemini app, and there are no current plans to change that.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yeah. So the word current is a bit of a tell here.
Mm-hmm.
So there are plans, but they're not current plans. They're future plans, or maybe they're past plans.
Well, this just poor person is just cursed with being at Google, which, in my experience,
he's probably got 3 houses.
I mean, yeah, this is true. So he's not unfortunate at all. I'm sure he's compensated very well for this. But I've never seen a more data siloed company than Google, where if there are super secret plans about something somewhere, they don't tell other people at Google about them. Like there's super secret plans in their silo in that bureaucracy. Right. So he is put in a position where he can be perfectly honest and say something that is just completely untrue. Like that is those two things are not incompatible at all, in my experience working with Google, because they're like the government. Like it's a need to know basis thing, and the way that they control information is by controlling it internally, including keeping their business people out in front, while they do things in the back.
Right. There's nothing unpredictable about Google. They get adoption of a product and then they stuff ads in it. So,
yeah.
Like, you know,
and ads are great. As we discussed last week, there's nothing wrong with ads.
Yeah.
Ads are wonderful.
Poor Dan Taylor. Well, some people under this tweet were taking it as a signal that there are going to be ads in Google soon.
Yeah, I mean, it tells me that's as likely as not. Like, there's nothing about this tweet that makes me think there are not going to be ads in Gemini. It reminds me of a lot of interactions I had with my account managers at Google, who, like, when they would tell me things that sounded like semi-ridiculous, I would just be like, oh God, you have to say that.
Let me say something else. Let me expose something that's not true. There's not a bunch of valuable intent data locked up in Gemini that Google doesn't have access to yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? And to the extent that OpenAI has like intent data that they could monetize, it's just going to come out of search, right? Yeah. It's like it's stuff people tell Google, and now they'll tell, there's probably a lot of medical information, a lot of pharma and OTC healthcare intent, a lot of product research. But when people are doing product research, they leave a big data trail. Like, it's not the problem with making advertising more efficient. The problem I'm focused on is not suffer from a lack of intent data. Lack of intent data is not the problem. And as we discussed with Pinterest and TV Scientific, like lack of conversion data is not really a problem in many markets. It is somewhat in some, but there's a widespread belief when people in tech or in finance especially talk about ad tech that if you have the data, then you have the product. Oh, they have this data, so therefore they're going to have a great product. Never been true. Less true now than ever was before. It's just not the problem. The problem is not how do we get intent data to build an ad business.
The only time it was true was when I was a skeptic of the Facebook IPO, because I was like, they have data, but they've never done ads before. And I was wrong. But that was just bad luck.
Did they hire the entire Google team? I mean, it wasn't because they had the data. They hired Sheryl Sandberg and her whole team, and they built the same ad product again from some really similar data. So, yeah. It wasn't just that they had the data.
Yeah. Data's not enough, man.
I'll say more about this at another time, but it's the modeling and the pipelines and the go-to-market and the service.
It's the action. The data is the middle layer in the AI chunk we were talking about earlier.
So, yeah.
The interpretation of the data. It's not the hard part. Oh, Gareth, can
Fast
you talk
video
about fast video
arbitrage. Oh,
arbitrage?
Paul Vincent's, man, he's terrorizing our show with
I love
Gareth
Paul.
rabbit holes.
All right, you guys want a rabbit hole? So Vast has this really unpleasant thing where in banners, right? I'm a publisher. I have the ability to show an ad. Historically, before header bidding, what would happen is I would have this tag that I put on the page or into my ad server. The tag would call an exchange, like Rubicon Project. Yield management was in Rubicon Project, I set up a price floor of $1. And I tell Rubicon, if you can't buy this at $1, give it back to me. Fire something called a passback tag. And that tag will fire and then send the impression back to me. And then I can put in another tag and send the impression to someone else. So put Pubmatic at a 75-cent floor or a $1 floor, whatever I figure out my scheme is supposed to be. And the reason that's called waterfalling is, as you can imagine, the impression opportunities ping pong back and forth between these ad tags down the waterfall, boom, 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 until they get to the bottom where there's no floor. You have your backfill, 100% fill provider, and that's a thing. This sucks. It's really awful. The waterfalling was really terrible. In the world of Vast, however, they built this into Vast. So Vast has an internal Vast wrapper where this waterfalling process is actually managed inside of there, where it hits these XML endpoints, it asks for a response, and even Vast is this ugly thing where they can respond and say they want to take it and buy it at that, but then throw a Vast error and like you have to do error handling and then send it to the next person in the waterfall. But what had happened was, because waterfalling is so easy in Vast, these ad networks would generate 20, 30 tags per integration at different price points, and you would work with 20 or 30 different ad networks, and you would have these huge waterfalls of ad tags where if even I'm willing to bet, go on CNN.com today, right click, pull up your inspector, watch the network requests. And if there's a video on there, there will be thousands of them. There will be thousands of network requests because of Vast waterfalling, where within Vast, they're hitting endpoint after endpoint, trying to get ads, trying to
get
do
to the
more
part where someone buys it cheap and sells it for more. That's the arbitrage part.
So the arbitrage part is because there are these price floors, right? You have this really weird, spiky market where if you insert yourself at the right point in the waterfall, you can get the impressions really cheap. So you can have a $2 tag set up on the publisher. You then go over to the buy side and set up your own deal or set up your own tag at $10. And what the goal of every Vast arbitrage network was, I export a $2 tag to a publisher that they put in their waterfall, and then I have my own Vast waterfall over here, and I make sometimes $10 on that ad tag. And that's why these companies proliferated, is because they could do that. And there was no way to map like the supply path. There's no sellers.json. There's no paper trail of this occurring. It's just Vast tags calling Vast tags calling Vast tags. And quite often you would get precisely what Adam just said, which is somebody sent a publisher a $2 tag and they then sold it for $10 on the exchange. And by the way, this is happening in curation and CTV right now. And this is happening in CTV left, right, and center. One of these networks will go and negotiate a deal with a publisher and get it and guarantee the money to get a reduced rate, and then go into programmatic and sell it for a higher rate than their guaranteed deal. This is an arbitrage that is occurring today. So as you can imagine, right, with all of these Vast calls going back and forth and all of this weird asymmetry in pricing, companies like LiveRail, who charged per Vast call, made gobs and gobs and gobs of money.
Oh, yeah.
Because they would charge, $100,000 a month to facilitate these networks who were willing to pay it, because if they could get $10 and pay $2, their margins were absurd. And there was no cost in scaling.
Who is the product lead on Vast? Who gave it its name?
Oh, he's a wonderful friend of ours named Ari Paparo.
Yeah,
and we wear it around our neck now.
His wife was like, "Honey, what's wrong?" And he said, "I don't know what to call this video ad serving template." And she said, "Why don't you call it Vast?"
That's so funny. Oh, God. Yeah, man. Yeah, he saddled us with Vast. Thanks, Ari.
All right, next.
All the videos run Vast. What's next? There you go, Paul. That's Vast waterfalling arbitrage. It's gross. What do you
I
want
don't
to
know
say
what to
about this
call
modem?
contained underwater breathing apparatus. I don't know what to call this light admit. All right, let's go. This is the Heidi Moore tweet. Heidi Moore is a journalist. I've been following her for years. I'm sort of a fan, though she could be really annoying. She wrote this somewhat controversial, we'll call it. It's not ignorant. She wrote, as a reminder, AI cannot generate knowledge. It cannot create knowledge. It cannot find new information. It can only mix information that's already been found and written to input into computers by humans. And then someone quote tweeted her and dunk on her that 2026 will be a rude awakening. Thousands and thousands of people dunked on her. Someone saying they saw this on Reddit. Someone reposted it on Reddit just to dunk on Heidi Moore saying this. And what I just like to point out is that, and I read thousands of responses to this, nobody gave an example of new information that was generated by an LLM. So if the fact that nobody could refute it with an example, to me says, at least in one important way, Heidi Moore is right. In another more important way, she's wrong. But the lack of examples was telling.
Yeah, I mean, this is a super philosophical question. It's a really deep one, right? Because it gets to what is knowledge
What is new?
and and therefore what is new knowledge, right? If you to define what new knowledge is, you have to define what knowledge is. Now, my brain does go to this. You can't say that there are no new sentences because all words exist, right? Like that doesn't apply. Like that's not a thing.
There's no new
And
music because of the 88 notes.
exactly. It's not you can't say that there's no new music because there are only 88 notes. And I think that kind of applies here. And I think that she's kind of missing that. There's a level of abstraction that she doesn't understand, which is the interpretation of historical knowledge. The inference that occurs there is actually kind of how we make new knowledge today outside of experimentation. Like humans kind of have to do this. We don't just like generate things from scratch. There's a corpus of knowledge that we all have that we draw on, that we use to make new knowledge. And don't get me wrong, it's not the same, but it's not as dissimilar as she would make it sound in her tweet. And I think that's why people are dunking on her so hard, is because they're like, what do you think we do? Like, like what's this magic thing that humans do that is so different from reading all the text that exists and doing an interpretation?
That's right. I think the better conversation to have is are these chatbots or AI applications as a whole limited by their training data? Can they only express what's in their training data? And some of that may be novel and combined from the training data in other ways. But some people who are true believers in AI will say they could get beyond their training data. They could infer things that are not in the training data at all. And they talk about one-shotting, which is, what AI supposedly learns things very quickly without it being reinforced in the training data, which I'm a little skeptical of, but very smart people have told me is a real thing. So this reposter is very confident that in 2026 we'll see very clear examples of AI coming up with things that we cannot see in the training data if they're even there, or that really literally are not represented anywhere in the training data. But I think it's important to note it hasn't really happened yet.
Well, I think there's something that is, like, I use the word inference a lot. Inference is a really tricky one. How do you derive conclusions from training data, and instead of just parroting training data? Like, don't just tell me something that exists in there. Tell me something that is a second order, like, conclusion that comes from the training data that you could expect. You take it out one step further.
Yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah, they do that all the time, and it's interesting. I think connections across fields is the best example of this. You could say, I don't know, I did one of comparing drug states to meditation states, and it was so detailed and interesting. I was like, I don't know if anyone has ever like written all this out before.
Yeah, man. I'm an LLM guy. I don't know what to say. I love
You're into
them.
it.
I'm so into it.
There's a question. Developers creating custom OpenAI GPTs and custom Google Gems can already share affiliate links and images in these custom Gen AIs. Is this an intentional tactic? Do you know about this? Affiliate links in the custom ones?
I don't, but it would make sense because like I have a custom like LLM that I use, and I would absolutely have a desire if I were in a like B2C company, to embed things that would make me money like that. This seems like a perfectly reasonable use case to me. Now
Yeah.
the question is it intentional? It has to be, right? Like if you have to be able to tell it what affiliate links to embed.
If you're Google, would you rather own all the shopping agents, or would you rather empower users and stores to create shopping agents?
Yeah, totally. There's no world where Google wants to be like sacrificing market share. They want to let other people build on top of them, and they just so happen to get all of the data. Like,
I'm on the other side. I think Google is going to try to be the be all end all shopping agent. Will not let people build on top of theirs.
I don't know, man. Well, Gemini, you're probably right, but the other ones, most certainly, this is something that you would power custom ones for each client. And we already see this, right? Like brands getting custom agents. Like this is the thing. I had someone pitch me a startup where they were building it for influencers. So like each influencer got their own custom LLM that was like a simulacra of the influencer where people could go and talk to them. Seriously, this is a business model pioneered by OnlyFans, to be honest.
Oh yeah, of course.
If you look at the fees that the OnlyFans, by the way, for anyone listening, the people who are at the top of the billboard for OnlyFans,
the market for this
make more money than anyone.
And they're like, I want to talk to her.
Yeah. Oh no. So the top OnlyFans porn stars make anywhere between $85 and $120 million a year. And just think about that, like 85 to 120 million dollars a year.
I'll talk to a bot based on her.
Correct. People do it today. So half that comes from chatting, 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 and there is no way that anyone with half a brain cell would think that they're actually talking to that person. There's no way. There's simply too many. There's not enough time in the day that she can be talking to you. It is someone who is paid, or it's a bot. It's an LLM.
And then she drops you affiliate links.
Oh, I mean, they might not have thought of this yet, but this sounds like a business opportunity if I've ever heard one. OnlyFans affiliate links. That's a free business. That's a free business model. You're welcome. You're welcome, chat. Somebody build it and tell me how it goes.
All right, looks like we're at time. It was fun talking about AI with you on this AI episode. Thanks to the crew, as always. To everyone in the chat, thanks for your questions. I hope you have a great Hanukkah Sunday night, Gareth.
Oh, yeah. Nice big party.
You ready? You got
a lot of latkes.
8 nights of presents for the kiddies?
My mother-in-law's on it.
Your mother-in-law's on it? I'm behind on this score. But we'll check in next week and see how it's going.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks all.
Yo, the crowd is packed, the lights are dim. Front rows buzzing, it's about to begin. Ad tech, ad talk, they're taking the stage. Adam and Gareth on a knowledge rampage. Ad tech, ad talk, it's a live Q&A. Buy side, sell side.